young black men in urban areas, killing each other and leaving one another. I said, well, this is not our fault. You got to look at the structures that were put in place to drive young black men into the streets. You got to look at the prolonged exposure to poverty, lack of resources, lack of opportunities that young black men were denied from. Now, some would say that black men had opportunities. Yes, we did, but not the opportunities like they tell you we had. But a lot of times, they'll try the system and try to find ways to railroad young black men from being able to be successful. Now, this stuff is structured. It ain't out the void. It's not out the void when you got these young brothers in places like Chicago, Memphis, Washington, D.C., Baton Rouge, Louisiana, New Orleans, Houston, Dallas, St. Louis, East St. Louis, and many other cities where you have large black populations. You'll have these young brothers involved in the narco-drug trade. Now, I always ask any of these white nationalists, I always talk about the black-on-black crime in the black community. Like somehow these young black men or boys just willy-nilly just committing shit out the vote without understanding the context and the situation that a lot of these young brothers are in. And the thing is, like I said, when you got an impoverished community with the lack of resources, no opportunities, what's going to happen to these young black men? They're going to what? They're going to what? Turn to crime. So you got a narco-drug war that's going on in a black community. Now that, the crack basically is dead. So, most of all your crackheads, either they recovered or they dead. But now you got other drugs that's coming into the black community, like fentanyl and all that shit coming into the black community. Most of those people that buy the fentanyl are white. Ain't no black people gonna do no shit that's gonna kill you. They might do motherfuckers be sipping on that lean. You might still have a few crackheads around. But opioids and shit like that and crystal meth, niggas ain't gonna touch this shit. Black people ain't gonna touch this shit. There's even a crackhead said, he's like, oh hell no, I ain't fucking with no crystal meth or no shit like that. I'm trying to leave. You ain't gonna OD on no goddamn you ain't gonna OD on no crack. The only thing with crack is, like dude tell me, like the crackhead told me that they still chase that first high they got. They'll never be able to get that first high. He said the first high was hooking. After that, you will keep on doing that crack until you try to chase. You chasing that high, you'll get high, but you ain't gonna get that high that you first had. It's just like sex. When you're a virgin and you bust your first little nut, that first nut you have, boy, like an electrifying, because your body like, woo! That's how crack is. Dude said that's how crack is. It's like that first nut that you bust when you're a virgin. And once you bust that first nut, man, you'll never get that feeling back. You can get the feeling, the sexual feeling, but you'll never get that feeling back. It's like a woman when she a virgin and you break her hymen, and you hitting it good, she a virgin, and sometimes that woman will be hooked to that brother for years because that was her first. That's why a lot of women, when they get older, they always try to find their first love. You know, they'll never find a dude. All they find, it ain't the same. But that's just how he said how crack is, man. Crack is like that first nut you bust, and your body, your body go through a state of like a almost a trance-like state. When you and I know that feeling when you bust your first nut, first sexual nut, you gonna be like, man, you want to do that again. So you do that again, and yeah, it's good. The sex is good, but it ain't gonna be the same like your first. You know, it ain't gonna never be the same. You know, so that's how drugs is. The same thing for most people. I say like this: most brothers, you might get a bad dose of heroin in OD. You know, like if you snort buttons and shit. You know, once you burn out your lymph nodes and shit, the next step is shoot. That's straight to the blood vessel. And then that's when your chances of ODing is even higher, because you're getting a straight dose of heroin, you know, or that what their homeboy call it, that non-void, because it's gonna make your ass void. They just call it void. He like, what? He said, because this shit make you non-void. Jack. But back to the subject, black men, we always had to get it out the mud, man. We never had nobody doing shit for us. And even when we have, even I ain't gonna even lie, even black women sometimes, they got railroaded for shit. Like, if you look at the black community, if you notice, most of the people that own businesses in the black community are non-black. They are either Arabs, Indians, Koreans, run the hair business. And then even when black women try to get into her business, and you got to buy a lot of your hair products and shit from the Koreans or Asians. And they keep black women from getting in that business, because they do not want black women to make money for themselves in their business. So they do not sell to black women, because they want y'all to come to you. But see, all black women need to do is go natural. Stop fucking with them, make shit for them. Black women can easily push the Asians out, because without the black women supporting these Asian nail shops, these hair places, the Asians are starved. Same thing with black people. If black people didn't support all these Arabs and Indians, these businesses, their businesses will go under, because white people put them in our community. That's the only way they'll get loans, if they open up a business in the black community, because white folk ain't gonna let them open up all the businesses in their community. But see, they redline us from getting loans. They redline black people no matter no matter how good your credit, they'll still find a way to redline you in the bank as a black person, whether you're a black man or woman. They'll find a way to redline you. If you want to build a business in the community, they'll redline you like a motherfucker. They don't want you to, by you starting a business in the community, they don't want you to do that. They don't want to have to compete with you. They don't want to. They don't want no more Black Wall Streets. They don't want no more what? Elaine, Arkansas. They don't want no more Slocum, Texas. They don't want no more Rosewood, Florida, Chloe, Florida, Oliverville. They don't want no more. They don't want no more. What's the other place? Black community in North Carolina, Wilmington, North Carolina. No East St. Louis's, no Omaha, Nebraska. They don't want you, FBA Black Americans, to have no kind of business. They want to keep black people in perpetual poverty. They'll lift a few others up in the black community, like your athletes, your rappers, your singers, and even then, some of them coming out saying that they've been getting railroaded and shit like that. Because, even the music industry is the hip-hop, all the genres of music that we create are all controlled by who? The little hat people. So they don't want you to have no kind of creative movement in the black community. They want to keep you a perpetual slave. This is why they don't want you, no Black Wall Streets and none of that shit no more. Because when they did that, they had to burn and destroy our thriving community. They had to burn them motherfuckers down because back then, in the early 1900s, you had a lot of these brothers. You already had black thriving communities. But after World War I, you had a lot of brothers that came back that had money to burn. So a lot of that money they put into the communities, those thriving black communities. Just to let y'all non-FBAs know, we had thriving black communities. It ain't that black people couldn't do nothing, but we were railroaded from doing it. And a lot of times they use a lot of y'all black immigrants in the diaspora against us. They use y'all against us. Like you'll have Caribbean blacks in the black caucus. And what they'll do, if like there's certain benefits, like reparations that FBAs are owed. And they feel like if they can't get access to it, well, we're going to keep y'all from getting it. Y'all don't need it because if we can't get it, nobody going to be able to get it. It's like I tell Jamaicans, shouldn't nobody be running and controlling all y'all land in Jamaica? Y'all complain about black Americans coming over there. Same thing with Kenya. They complain about black people coming over there, but yet them British come over there, do all kind of wicked shit. Do all kind of wickedness. And shit like that. To railroad you. To keep you from getting any kind of economic development. And then they'll make you think that somehow black people didn't do shit in the United States. They're a goddamn lie. Most of all the inventions that we invented was invented by black people. Hell, the first auto manufacturing company, the Patterson Motor Company, they try to even cover that up. You go I tell people, go look up, they'll tell you that Ford was the first manufacturer. Nope, Ford was not. Henry H. Ford bought the Patterson Motor Company and changed it into the Ford Motor Company. And they took the T-model Ford, they took the Patterson automobile and turned it to the Model T. So a lot of shit that black people invented, white people either co-opted and stole it and claimed it for themselves because due to the patent company, they didn't want to let black people inventions get patent unless they have a white person to take the name for it. And that's what was happening a lot of times. You had those 3 black women. Give credit to those 3 black women that was creating mathematical equations to bring the Apollo 13 home. Then they tried to cover that up. They tried to cover up a lot of shit. So when you have people like Nick Fuentes and all these white folks that say black people never done shit, we didn't even build civilization in Africa, which is another lie. That's another goddamn lie as well. So white men constantly got to lie and everything. That's why I say lie. White supremacy speaks from an intellectual, dishonest talking point that you can easily destroy a white supremacist argument. Like Charlie Kirk or any of these white nationalists, all you have to do is pull up these facts online, on your cell phone that a black man invented. Black man invented the first cell phone and the first satellite phone. Black man did that. But they'll try to take that greatness from you and tell you that black people never did shit. And back then, you got to look at the dynamic of the relationship between black men and black women. We had a better relationship back then than we do now. And the reason why they do all this shit, keep all this division between black men and black women, is because they know that black men and black women get together, they can build, they know they'll unify and do some great things. Because everything starts with the black family. Everything. And you don't got no black family, you don't have a community. If you don't got the community, you don't have nothing. That's why they keep us divided collectively. This is by design. This whole gender war and shit in between black men and black women are by design. This whole divestment and swirling movement is by design. Because if you can get black men and black women fighting amongst each other, not able to procreate, what's gonna happen? White people so afraid of that. They're like, look, we gotta do something to basically disrupt black men and black women from building and thriving community. So we're gonna create this interracial marriage thing to water down the genes. Nothing against interracial marriage, but I'm just saying this is all is weaponized. It's really weaponized with black women. It's really weaponized with them. So they use all this shit to weaponize against black people. And now the same shit is happening to white people because the white elites are getting tired of, they don't want to have to pay white people or nobody. They don't want to pay white people. So now, in order to have white supremacy, you need to have a middle-class white family. Well, they're now promoting the family, and now you'll have white people that don't want to have children because, you know, they say they don't want to have children, but I be seeing poor white people, women pregnant like a motherfucker. So obviously, poor white people having kids, poor black people having kids. It's just that those white people who have money ain't having kids because they feel like, look, man, I ain't gonna have no kids if I can't have no house, no car, no income to support and sustain a family. They don't want that. They don't want that. The elites don't want that, and see, this is where the white supremacy really dropping the ball. That's why you got all these white men angry as fuck. They angry as fuck because now they can't buy a house. Well, a house back in the day, they mom and dad bought was probably what, $13,000. Now that same house on the market is now $1 million. That's just for a bungalow, for a 2-bedroom, 3-bedroom bungalow. You gotta pay damn near $1 million, and then they'll tell you, well, you know, this capitalism, you know, without no resources, no job, you can't even afford to buy white men or black men. Nobody are not able to buy a house. And they'll say, well, that's capitalism. See, you have capitalism, you have runaway capitalism run amok. And we, like I told white people, hey, black people are the canaries in the coal mine. We are the canaries in the coal mine. You did? And shit that they do to us, they gonna implement on everybody else down the road. But the white nationalists, they don't see shit like that. It's all about me. And fuck y'all, we should get it. And that's how I said white people. I'm gonna show you the pure example of white nationalists. If you ever seen that episode of Merry Melodies with Daffy Duck, when Daffy Duck came into that big ass treasure room, and then he was complaining about all the money he done found, like, you know, how am I get all this money? Now, motherfucker, you sitting up there on a land full of money looking like Scrooge McDuck, and you complaining about shit. Then he picked the lamp up, rubbed on the lamp, the genie came out, he stumped the damn genie back into the lamp, because he thought the genie was going to take all the money he found, all the gold and shit he found. And he stumped the genie back into the lamp because he was so greedy. He didn't want even the genie to have access to it. That's the white supremacist mindset. Me, it's mine, all mine. That's how they think. They don't want shit for everybody else. If they ain't getting benefit of that white man say, down with it. It's just like after they signed the Civil Rights Bill. Because they didn't want to be in a swimming pool with black people in the public pool, they said, we're going to fill all them goddamn pools up. And that's what they did. This is how fucked up and selfish they are. Now, am I talking about the rank-and-file average white person? No. I'm talking about these white supremacist-minded people. And there's a lot of them. And then the reason why I say it's a lot of them, because if it wasn't a lot of them, black people would still have we'll have more than what we have today. They use the whole excuse that black people got to pull themselves up by the bootstraps. But then you ask them and you look at your feet, you don't got no boots on. Hell, you barefoot. So how the hell you gonna pull yourself up by the bootstraps? Then you look at him, he got your bootstraps and the boots and everything and running off with him talking about, you gotta take personal accountability. He's running with the bootstraps. You gotta pull yourself up by the bootstraps. And he up there with the boots and the goddamn straps running with him, and you gotta chase him for the goddamn bootstraps. While he telling you to take personal accountability, something that he don't even like doing. White men don't like taking personal accountability and responsibility, because that shit is like kryptonite to them. That's black fatigue. Accountability for that shit is black fatigue. That's why when you tell them, you break down these facts to a lot of these white supremacists, and you show that shit to them, they're like, no, we don't want to hear it. Shut up, nigger. They'll hurry up and tell you to shut up, but that's the truth. That's why I say it's easy to destroy a white supremacist argument. Charlie Kirk, piece of cake. Would have been a piece of cake for me, basically to a walk in the park for me debating Charlie Kirk and then bringing up all this shit I researched, everything I researched, because I go look up everything. Just so when I run into people like that, I could destroy their argument. But we all know debating with people like them, they'll use ad hominem attacks, and then you get emotional. They'll say, well, oh, you being a typical emotional nigger. But, like I said, back in the day, black men used to pull it out the mud. We always built for our family. We always built for our community. And that's what they always have been afraid of. That's why they fear now. That's why they fear shit falling to pieces now. That's why they fear what's going on over there in Africa with the Sahel states, with Ibrahim Traore and the other two brothers. They fear that. They don't want no more Thomas Sankara. They don't want no more Marcus Garvey's. They don't want no more Patrice Lumumba's. Shit, they don't even want Jesse, what's his name down there, Jesse Alima. To me, Jesse Alima is the equivalent of Louis Farrakhan over here. You know how many times Jesse Alima they were trying to kill Jesse Alima? Jesse Alima, they tried to kill him so many goddamn times over there in South Africa. And they got mad at him for critiquing what? Nelson Mandela. But hey, I digress.